Okay. Hello.
Well, it's so nice to actually see you. It's been so long.
I'm so sorry that we had that like missing persons thing. Literally, you were in a door, out a door, crossing the
I
street.
know. No, we really were. And for context, yeah, so I was doing, as you know, this event at Godmother's, which is literally right next door to your beautiful store. And I'm like, I have to see Heidi. But it, listen, on days like that, and it was, as you know, like a heavier topic. So that's why I just had to get into whatever headspace. But
Yeah,
it's just nice to actually see you.
yeah, that's great. It's so nice to
Well,
see you.
well, thanks for doing this. I mean, obviously I knew of you for many, many years. And then Abigail Spencer, I don't know if you remember,
Yeah, I
was
remember.
so, okay. She was
Yeah,
so thoughtful. She seated us next to each other at a dinner. And it was so nice to finally put a face with a name. So let's like really backtrack because I know that yes, you started your business was based in Los Angeles, but you yourself grew up in Carpinteria.
that's
So
correct.
so let's talk childhood. Let's really backtrack. I mean, what about your childhood sort of informed who you are today?
Oh gosh, that's interesting. Okay. Sorry. What about my child? I mean, really, I'm living in my hometown, so everything of my childhood is informing every day. You know what I mean? I have the same sort of beach view that I grew up with. So my neighbors were people that rode big wheels on my driveway. You know, like I'm in it, and there's a real blessing to being in a small town where you sort of know everyone for what feels like 100 years.
Mhm.
Um, because there's an accountability, and then there's the sort of vision of growth where you see people from a child to an adult, and you see all their successes and struggles and whatever. And that sort of brings a reality of life into your point of view. When you really know people, it's not just a movie, it's not a celebrity, it's not um it's not a dream. It's like this is life, and these are people, and they're beautiful, and they're functioning. And so it's been really wonderful to be in my sort of childhood again, which yeah.
It's such a special. I can't blame you. I toy with the idea of being, Los Angeles adjacent because it's just such a special area. I don't blame you at all.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then so it's so funny because when your last name Merrick, my
yeah,
husband, he's around fashion through work, but he doesn't know fashion. And he's
yeah,
like, Merrick, any chance she's related to? And
yeah,
he's the one who way back when clued me into like the fact that you come from a surf family as
yeah,
well. So
yeah.
yeah, tell me a little bit about growing up. How much awareness did you have of, the family, I guess, legacy in a way? Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, it's never really legacy when it's your family, right? So it's really just your dad and your mom trying to make money and be good people. So I wasn't really that's not true. Uh, I was aware that my dad was really good at what he did, and I was aware that everyone in the world considered him the best in the world at what he did. And that comes with a lot of good and bad, right? It comes with a hundred doors and windows open that I have that other people don't have. That perspective of if I try, I can be great. You
Oh,
know, so I've
yeah.
always sort of thought if I put my mind to it, I can be great. And sort of across the board, I thought that about everything, and I failed at so many things, you know. And I've had successes in some things, same as my dad. But I think I always sort of go back to that idea that people regarded my dad as really, really gifted, and that makes me feel gifted. The same way, you know, when you're talking to your kids, you try to talk positively about yourself. You know, you try to sort of in front of them respect yourself, respect your life, respect your work, so that they do that for themselves, and they feel that it's inherited. And that was a real gift for me. A lot of the community were just really kind about who my dad was. And then I got to know all the great surfers,
Oh,
which
right.
was awesome. When you're a teenage girl and you have a surf team around you, it's like pretty much the best thing in the world. I think it's like the envy of every girl I've ever known.
I love that.
Yeah, so that was super duper fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
But
then
your parents were right there, so it's not what everyone imagines. You know what I mean? But it was bitching.
I
It-
love it. Well,
yeah.
but 2007 is when you launched your company, correct? And so what were you doing before that moment?
Um, I had lived in New York. I moved to New York the day I turned 18, and in New York, I was doing plays and theater and studying art. You know, I was just living la vida artist. And that was really fulfilling and wonderful for me. I still sort of draw back on that time. I mean, if you can see, I still draw and do art, and it's still sort of what brings me culture in life. I was really failing though at making money at that. And where I made money was always in fashion. I had sort of a gift for it. And I worked for my dear friend, Jennifer Smith. And she went from Hearst to Condé Nast, or I don't really remember. We worked for a lot of magazines, and I was her stylist assistant. And she taught me fashion. She said things to me that I say on shoots, and I said yesterday on a shoot.
Hmm.
I say all the time, like when I pulled stuff out of a trunk, and back then we used to get trunk loads of clothes, and everything was wrapped in 4 sheets of tissue, and it was pretty wonderful old fashioned world still. Um, and to my girls in the store, I hold the clothes and I sort of give it a wiggle, and I say, this is our moneymaker. This is our livelihood. Respect the clothes, you know? Um, and that's what she said to me the first day. Respect the clothes. And I quickly realized it just sort of was a magical spark where I realized, oh, this is life giving to me, and this is like maybe going to build my life, and it did.
Wow.
Yeah.
20 years. I mean, but it is a wild thing because I'm sure in a lot of ways it's like the blink of an eye and 100 years ago too. So how has the aesthetic or business sort of evolved for you from the early days? Like what do you remember about the early days?
I remember so much. I remember working so hard. And I still work so hard, but in those days it was more specific. I would sew the clothes all night long before a photo shoot. I sewed every sample for maybe the first 4 years. And then if I had a ringer of a dress that was, a high dollar dress and whatever, and people wanted it, I'd say, oh, let's just cut it. Let's just cut it. I'll sew it. I'll sew it tonight. So there's people walking around early Heidi Merrick that I was excited that they bought something and sewed it. And I had an assistant at some time that was like, you can't do this. Like, this is very stupid. Um, so I have the same sew team and cut team that I had 20 years ago. It
Wow.
it makes me want to cry thinking about it. The neighbor was a designer. Can't his name's falling. It was something Italian. He was very cool. He was older than I was. But my neighbor in my studio in downtown LA, and he had Artemio, my sewer, and maybe he wasn't doing well. I could tell he was sort of winding down, an older gentleman, and so Artemio was getting less and less time. And I said, as you get less time, can you come help me? And it was me getting off the sewing machine and him getting on. And
Wow.
he's still my sample sewer.
Wow. I don't think most people can say that. That's incredible.
Yeah. And when I left that seat, sometimes I think about it, that there's the last time I left that seat.
Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. No, I mean it is emotional. Yeah. Would you ever, I mean, I guess there's no reason to return to that seat when you have.
Yeah, it's so interesting because now, I mean, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm crying over my.
No, it's okay, but I mean, we're probably talking about things that in a lot of ways you haven't thought about, right? Like
Yeah,
it's gonna
no, I
bring
haven't
up.
thought about it. I have a suitcase of clothes here from the last time I packed that I'm gonna wipe my eyes with. I can't believe I made myself. What a dork. Anyway, yes.
Love it. This is me the other day doing one of these. when somebody was saying something, I out of nowhere started tearing up, and
Or,
it's, when
yeah.
you feel it.
Yeah. I'm probably projecting a little bit of life onto that because it is your life. When you reflect on your work, you're honestly reflecting on your life. But where that really matters, obviously, is, your children. And my daughter's 16. She's an exchange student this summer. And
Oh,
I'm
where
like,
is she? Oh my
oh,
gosh.
traumatizing. She's in France having a great time, just raging.
Mildly jealous. That sounds incredible. But
Yeah.
that's hard as a parent. My son's 4. I'm not prepared for when he's making decisions and going places. So
Uh,
I feel you. Well, so wait, so actually now motherhood, I did want to touch upon that too. Um, how did motherhood then start influencing work, whether it was, visually or also just in terms of logistics? I mean, how
yeah.
has motherhood sort of uh,
Yeah.
played its part in your life?
I was never going to be a mom that had career over my children.
Hmm.
I was never going to be a human that had career over my children or my family or my life, and I respect people that are like that. I'm not judgy about it. I'm just sort of rootsy enough that that has to be my place. Um, so I feel like my entire career, I've been like, when the kids go, a
Yeah.
little bit of that. And then my son, if I'm being candid, had asthma when he was really young. And that was like in and out of the hospital all the
Oh,
time.
wow.
And partially why I was really ready to move up here. The air here was much better for him. Now he's strong and amazing, plays soccer and surfs and bikes, and he's strong. Maybe had we not changed the air for him, that wouldn't have happened. That said, I love being in LA in my LA studio more than anything in the world. I love Perrin, who heads up the design studio there, is just sort of a beautiful soul. And I don't know how long she's been with me, maybe 8 years, but when we're together and we're working, we're all making clothes and I'm there, the day goes, I step out the elevator and then all of a sudden it's getting dark and I have to go home and drive home. And
That is the best feeling.
yeah,
You're in your element and you're doing what you love. So I get that.
it's tough for me. So I do live in Carpinteria and my design studio is in Los Angeles. So there's sacrifices that I've made to have a family and a stable family and a healthy family that I stand beside, but not without a little bit of not without a little bit of God. That is where I am my best self. I work. I love working, and I think I come from sort of a hardworking family. My mom is beautifully hardworking. My dad is an artist, and that's where I feel in flow.
Mm.
That comes really easily to me. So to sort of be it's not that I'm isolated here. I have the retail team, as you know, and I go, but I don't have that daily going in that I once had. And it's probably better because no one wants me sewing the samples.
Fair. Yes, you've evolved from that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. No, but I get all that. As far as family, it's interesting. For me, I was a reluctant mom. I didn't
Mhm.
know that I wanted to be a mom, and
Mhm.
it was only once I became a mom, and we won't, get into too much today. But it was only once I became a mom that I realized, one, how badly I wanted to be one. And two, that of course kids are going to come before career. I mean, I was ambitious and yes, my career always mattered so much, but what's the point of any of it? I don't know. It just puts
Yeah.
things into perspective for me. And
Yeah.
again, to each their own. Everyone does all of this
Yeah.
differently. That's why I love hearing different perspectives. But you and I, it sounds like, are of the same ilk in terms of, you want to, yeah, how could this little being, becomes a human in this world? You want to give them every opportunity you can. And it should be, in my opinion, it's about them while still maintaining that ambition. I mean,
Yeah.
you wind up I think prioritizing, and I think by doing that, you actually, at least for me, I thrive that much more with what I'm doing because you're saying no to the things you should have been saying no to. And
Mhm,
yes, to the things that are going to help everything evolve, your human,
mhm,
little humans, and then of course, your first baby, your business. So
mhm,
yeah, that's my
mhm.
thought process on it. And then let's talk just style for a minute. So how would you personally describe your aesthetic?
Oh, that's interesting. It's so interesting to talk about your aesthetic because it's really your point of view. So I'm aware that I don't see other people's point of view. I'm aware that I have a very strong aesthetic, but I can't really define it because it is coming from, it is my impetus. It is naturally my inspiration, what I think is beautiful. So I think that's why I'm an independent designer. I've never taken on having a boss. I've never taken investment. I haven't, um, brought in a creative director per se because I realize I don't want to be told what to do. I still feel like I'm on an art project and it might have already taken me 20 years, but I'm still trying to say something. And sometimes I think that holds me back. Like I don't want to do the perfect show or the perfect collection or whatever, because then what will I strive towards? There's a little bit of the joy of the strife,
Hmm.
which I don't know if that's right in the world. And as an artist, I don't know if that's the correcto way to go about life. I'm on the fence of that, but I have it for sure. And I'm aware that I'm trying to say something in this world, but I'm not 100% what it is. Like if it's someone from the outside.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. I mean,
Yeah,
and I think too, again, as we all evolve as human beings, that influences your work. And so it's probably constantly emotion in a way too. And certainly the way someone else, like any piece of art, the way someone else is going to interpret that piece may differ from how you view it. So I
for
get
sure.
that. Yeah.
I am aware, of how I'm seen in the world. I'm aware that, I grew up in a surf world and I grew up in a beach town and I live a very, California lifestyle. Um, so I'm aware of the incoming of that, the vision of that. And I do think my sort of goal in it, not to say what my aesthetic is, but my goal has always been to get sort of the beach kid to
Mm.
to represent, to sort of show up for life, just bring it. You know what I mean? And sometimes when it's a dress, it's the little surfer girl, being elegant, like learning, like this is a natural fiber. It's a cool silhouette. You don't feel ridiculous. You're not going to feel like you're in a pom pom walking out onto the beach. I try to make it vibey enough that my people will wear it, but elegant enough that it feels aspirational to me. So that's my point of view on it. I struggle with like explaining the aesthetic, but
That's
that's where it
fair.
comes from.
That's fair. Well, I think that's why people, bring in marketing, people who can
Yeah,
label things in a easy to digest, I get a digestible way, I suppose. But no,
sure.
everything you just said makes absolute sense. And then I always like to ask people, what have you learned about yourself in the last year?
In the last year, you know what? You asked me that last year. I
Oh
don't
my
you
gosh, I did. That's
answer
right.
it
I do.
really.
I love that you knew that. That's right. Thank
Yeah,
you for remembering. Every year at the end of the year, I do a big roundup of what have
yeah,
you learned about yourself this year. And that did we, I think it was 2 years ago, or was it
yeah.
last
It
year?
was a while ago. I don't know
Okay,
whenever it
fair
was, but
enough. Well, where are you at now?
it definitely was a gift to me that you asked me that. Which because sometimes you don't stop and sort of think about what you're going through or what you think, or you think about what you should do, which is um sort of sad. But I have learned about myself, sort of what I touched on about the studio, is that I really love the process of working. I am very grateful now, where sometimes like I need to work. Now I realize my respite is work. Yeah.
I get that. No, same. I get that. 100%. I think when I'm able to, I mean, I love all of this too. I love talking to people. I love hearing people's stories, but more recently spending a little time, carving out time to tell an important story to me.
Mhm.
And it's meditative.
Mhm.
It's like something else takes over. So that
Mhm.
is the respite. I get that. I get that.
Yes. So it's interesting. And the difference with I've realized my work isn't front facing. I like people. That's a great positive thing. I really love the women who wear my clothes, and I honestly get affected when I see them wear something. It's a really lovely thing for me, but that still pulls from me as a person. I wear down, I get tired. But when I'm just building business, building, the brand and designing clothes, when I'm in that zone, I feel, light as a feather.
So that makes me wonder, are you an introvert who masquerades as an extrovert in a way? Because I find that that's me. And I
Yeah.
feel like people can energize you or drain you as well.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, do you know, have you ever,
Well, I've noticed it's interesting. I think about that a lot because I definitely have an outside personality, like most people do, and I'm very candid, as you know. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. It I don't know. I don't know how people are so big. We have all these labels, right? Oh, what type of generator are you? What time of the like? There's so
yeah,
much. I'm a
yeah.
Libra. I'm a this. There's so much, and I feel very mercurial in it's really hard for me to
Fair.
say. That said, I get lonely.
Hmm.
Like last night, my girl, I thought I needed my hair done. I had my hairstylist come over,
Good.
Kara, who's one of my very best friends, and I said, Kara, let's rewatch the French Game in bed. Because my husband had a gig. My husband's out playing music, and I had Kara, who's one of my best friends, and my son and I lay in bed rewatching the French Game, and I knew the score. And I was like, I just want to see Mbappe score, right? And I obviously fell asleep. I missed the score. I missed all the scores, and I was very mad. And then this morning, I was like, I'm going to rewatch. So I pulled it up on the internet, and I think you only scored. I don't even remember. It doesn't matter. But I get lonely, and I definitely am a better person with people around me. And I think that's true probably with most women who have families.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's honestly, I started the Retaility because, especially during a pandemic, I mean, which is a whole other
Yeah.
layer and also other things going on. No, the Retaility was born out of, in a lot of ways, loneliness because,
Mm.
we were all missing out on connection during that time in particular. And I think it allowed me to force myself out of my comfort zone, spend time with people, and even doing the events that I do, the same thing. Those are born out of the idea of realizing how much I had missed having an excuse to get dressed and smile and spend time with people. But then, like,
Mhm.
I personally, and it sounds like maybe you're this way too. I need to then retreat. Like I
Mhm.
suspect you might be like this after this phone call. I will be so I love people, but I think I give so much of it that then
Yeah.
I'm emotionally drained after. So I don't know if you're like that too, but
I'm
yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, fair,
yeah,
fair.
yeah,
Well then, so I guess, what do you still hope to accomplish? Do you think of life in those terms? I mean, what's on the horizon?
yeah. I do think of life in those terms. Well, I want to, you go from saying I'm putting my children before my business to now that my daughter's 16. I want to make her proud. And like she sees the world, I think, bigger than I did. She started in LA and came here. And although our childhoods now have become very similar, um, I just want to make sure that I take my shot. You know what I mean? I don't want to, you know, not take the shot. I want to make sure that I've been blessed with like so much life, right? And if my shot is becoming a surf influencer at 50 and really digging into whatever, or beginning to ride the horses on my land, if my shot is being great at something that I really love, that I'm good with that. If it's the business, I'm good with that. But I'm sort of open now um, to dreaming again in a different way. That's so I don't want to shrink anymore. I want to, I've like cloistered my life in a way that has made it very safe for my children, which I think is
Beautiful. Sure.
really been wonderful.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I want her to see me be fucking brave, you know?
Yes, 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 100%. No, I think it's easy to, in the midst of motherhood and in putting others before yourself, you know, ambition doesn't ever leave us. It just
Mm,
maybe shape shifts and maybe the timeline gets changed, shifts.
mhm,
And
mhm,
ambition, whether it's like you said, it doesn't have to be the business, it could be hobbies or, whatever, but really
mhm.
going for it. You want to really go for it. I love that. And I think it's something that we all have to remind ourselves of. So, anyway, I guess on that note, I mean, what more, unless there's something else you want to make sure we touched upon that we didn't talk
Oh
about.
no. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
this was
wonderful.
beautiful. I love talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank
Of
you for the
course.
opportunity. It's so sweet. It's
No,
so
it's good to actually see you again. And I'll and I'm
come
gonna
up and we'll make a real time to have lunch and I won't stalk you around Summerland. I wonder where she is. You know,
No, I know. And normally, traditionally speaking, I would be better about, picking the time, sticking to the time.
that
Literally,
was
we
a lot.
drove up and left right after the conversation. So it was
I
it
bet
was a
it was.
quick trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a quick
Yeah.
trip, but it was a beautiful night. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Well, nice to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.